It's a show based on family and faith, and one that's really taken off in the last year. In fact, it seems like everywhere you go, you hear of or you see Duck Dynasty. Well, today we're talking to the matriarch of the Duck Dynasty clan. We're happy to welcome mother and wife Miss Kay Robertson to Delmarva Life. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Miss Kay, I want to ask you about your book, The Duck Commander Kitchen. But first, is it okay if I talk to you a little bit about the home life and the show? I mean, things have changed a lot for you. How has it changed your home life with the success of the show?
Well, one day when the 45 cars drove up my driveway for pictures and autographs, that's a big change. Nobody was doing that before.
I'm going to get a little personal here, and I hope it's okay. You recently opened up about the difficulty of the early years, drugs, alcohol, even some adultery. How about that time of life?
Yeah, that was a hard time, but that's what my grandmother meant. She used to give me all the instructions growing up about being married. And she talked to me a lot about just one wife and one husband for one life. And she told me also it's like you're a bird in a nest and you fly out and you make your own nest and you need to stay in your nest. You know, she just told me things like that, and things like you need to fight for your marriage. Well, I never understood as a child what that meant, but obviously she had been through some hard things too.
Yeah.
So I learned what that meant to fight for my marriage, and thank goodness I fought the devil and I won.
Wow, that is.
Because I still got him, and he's a good man now.
We see that all over the place. Okay, so one of the most important things with your family is the big meals, and that's what you're talking to us about this afternoon.
That's right.
So tell me about what are some of your favorites?
Well, I love all my cooking, but I especially love making the pastries that I make for the pies, my coconut chocolate and peach cobbler and things like that. And I love making dumplings. Now, they laugh about it because I have squirrel and dumplings, but you can also substitute that and make chicken and dumplings. And then I make the crawfish pie. And always, besides all my cooking, I want to tell you, I love to go shopping. That's fun to me. I have to do my own shopping. So I go to Walmart, and I get all my fresh veggies and my fresh fruits and things. And if it's not fresh, well, you know what? You can march back up there and say, hey, I want a refund, Jack. And that's what you do. But you know what? Shopping is fun, and cooking is fun for me.
All right, Miss Kay. Now, every great chef has one. What's your secret to your recipes? What's your secret ingredient?
Well, we have a Duck Commander seasoning. I do that a lot. It's cool. We have a hot one and a mild one, and that's in just about every dish I make. I'll tell you that right now. And of course, a little butter doesn't hurt. It's kind of good.
It's a good thing always, isn't it? Do you think it's important for the family to get around the table?
I think it's most important for the family around the table. It brings you all together. And a rule in my house is no cell phones, no electronics at the table. I collect them, believe me, and put them up. But you know what? We talk, we laugh, we enjoy it. And Phil does a prayer, what brings us all back to being humble and remembering where we came from. Because I don't want this family to change. How we started out is how I want it to end up. And I just like to thank God, and I'm just glad to be here. I'm glad to be in America, and I'm just glad we have the freedoms we have. And I think people take all that for granted, and they just forget. So that's why I love it.
Thank you so much for sharing some time with us this afternoon. It's been wonderful talking to you. Before we let you go, have you got any favorite traditions for the holidays?
Well, just other than like Phil and I cook the duck and dressing together. And that morning, I always make the cornbread, and I eat me a big piece with butter on it while I watch the parade normally. And then what I do is I chop all his veggies. We do it together. They're of the ducks that they just did from the duck blind. And, it's all fresh, and it's good, and it's fun. And we do it together as a family. I always have a job for Willie. Try to get Jep to do something, but he's kind of lazy sometimes. Sometimes he works, sometimes he don't. Alan makes the dessert. We cook it together. It's fun.
Family and faith. Miss Kay, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Wonderful talking to you. Now, if you'd like to read more about Miss Kay or for more information on some of her family's favorite recipes, all you have to do is go to delmarvalife.com and click on the show tab.
Well, Jimmy, it sounds like Miss Kay has some memorable traditions in the kitchen. It's better to treasure those moments than spend them trying to fix any problems that may arise. The last thing you need when you have a house full of people is a sink or a toilet to simply stop working. In today's Angie's List report, how you can avoid an embarrassing plumbing breakdown in the middle of your holiday hosting.
Plumbing accidents can happen to anyone at any time. Just ask Anita Rudy. She noticed a small leak in her freezer.
Pull the refrigerator out, get the hose up, lifting up the hose and looking, and it was the automatic ice maker, which might not be such a bad thing, or a big deal, but anyway, it was leaking nonetheless. So followed the hose down to the basement to where there's a shutoff valve, and it didn't work. It wouldn't shut off.
She had to call an emergency plumber.
I needed them on a Sunday. So that's, you're kind of a nervous wreck thinking, oh, who am I going to call on a Sunday? I'm not going to be able to call anyone. So, and then, you're a little concerned about the cost as well. But mostly I was just worried about getting somebody here.
And Anita is not alone.
Well, unfortunately, plumbing disasters can happen to anyone. They happened to me, in fact, this summer when my ejector pump went out on my basement bathroom when I had guests over for the weekend. Needless to say, I had to call in the emergency plumber.
Plumbers see these types of emergencies all the time, but especially around the holidays. In fact, Angie says the holidays are the busiest time of year for emergency plumbing calls, and they can be expensive.
When you have emergency plumbing service, you are going to pay extra. So my best advice to consumers is to do some preventative maintenance.
That includes knowing where your shutoff valve is just in case you have a leak.
Our guys are all instructed to, as soon as we get the dispatch after hours, to call the homeowner, figure out what the problem is, and try to do a little self-diagnostic over the phone. For instance, if their water heater is leaking, walk through the customer and show them exactly how to turn the valve off on the water heater, or maybe even the main water line.
Another thing to keep in mind, make sure you use the garbage disposal properly. You don't want to overload it.
You get people from out of town that aren't used to the home, so they'll be putting stuff down the disposal that, probably shouldn't be going down there or that the homeowner wouldn't normally put down there.
The disposal is meant for food only. You don't want to throw glass, rubber, or bones down there. Even stringy vegetables such as celery can wrap around the blades and stop them from working. Most importantly, Angie says, if you notice a problem, don't ignore it.
If you hear strange sounds, if you see leaks, address them right away, because if you don't, they could lead to a big problem.
Steps that can save you time and money this holiday.
Plumbing emergencies can happen in the bathroom too. Your bathroom sink can get clogged with soap and fibers from towels. Angie says try pouring near boiling water with baking soda down the drain to break it up. If your toilet gets clogged, Angie says a plunger should be your first line of defense. You also want to make sure a clogged toilet isn't the result of some foreign objects being flushed, such as paper towels or baby wipes. Well, let's stay inside your home for just a moment. Alton Brothers Furniture has taken pride in helping families all over Delmarva make their home warm and cozy. We take a look back at how the business has evolved over the years, yet remain committed to its core principles. Now let's go to the outside of your home. Does yours need to be resided, but you've been putting it off? It's a big project, but can make a world of difference. What features you should be looking for when picking siding? But first, Miss Kay just told us about her Thanksgiving feast. What do you do with all of the leftovers? Well, Rachel Ray has a handy how-to tip.
Thanksgiving right through the new year, it's the season of leftovers. Keep track of your leftovers and let your guests, when they take away leftovers, know what they're eating. Pick up some dry erase markers. These are great for labeling anything you're going to put into the freezer. You just write on it, green beans, and it's dry erase. Next time you switch the leftover, wipe it off. It's also great to remind husbands not to put your jeans in the dryer. Write it right on the dryer door.